Hello guys and welcome to Vlogging Project. Nowadays the phones are getting outdated pretty quickly, but there's one particular phone which aged quite well. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Galaxy Note 5. Is it still worth buying in 2017? Let's find out. So that's the shiny golden Note 5, guys. I've been using this phone over a year now, which is a surprise to me simply because all of my phones, I keep them no more than a couple of months and I always find something better and something cheaper. But in this case, I started this phone as my daily driver and it ended up filming all my YouTube videos. If you're not happy with the quality, that's the phone to blame. Also, all my thumbnails were shot with this phone because of the amazing camera, but we're gonna get to that a little bit later on. So let's quickly cover the design and build quality. You can never tell that this phone is so old simply because there is not a single scratch on the glass back. It's still nice and shiny. On the front I've got totally no scratches on the screen whatsoever. On the sides though the situation is a little bit different. There's the power button on the right hand side. Next to it we've got a couple of scrapes over here. Microphone, SIM tray is removed simply because the one that I got has two SIM slots. Is the N9200 version, which supports most of the bands except band 20, which is essential for Europe. That's why I'm having a little bit of an extra battery drain, but we're gonna come to that a little bit later on. Over here I've got another scrape, and if I had the Edge version, that's a new screen right away. The two volume rockers here. Over here I've got another ding, that's another screen. Over here yet another one, the 3.5mm jack, micro USB port over here, the single speaker, another microphone over here. That's our S Pen, of course, the highlight of this phone. That's yet another thing over here, and another one over here, that's probably another screen. One more time. So pretty much that's it. I mean, you saw that the frame is quite dented, but apart from that, the phone still looks and feels like new, and it's very sturdy in the hand. The quality and of the materials used are very high. I really love the metal over here. Not many phones, even still in 2017, have this kind of materials used, which are really nice to the hand. Size wise it's pretty good. Let me quickly compare it to the Echo Le Pro 3 Elite, which has a 5.5-inch screen. This one has a 5.7-inch screen, and as you can clearly see, they're more or less the same thickness, and the Note 5 is just a little bit taller, but that's not a problem because still it's good for one-hand usability. As you can see, I can clearly reach the other part of the screen with my thumb. So at the front we've got a bunch of sensors over here, the speaker grill, the 5-megapixel front camera. At the bottom we've got our fingerprint reader, which still works quite well and quite reliable. Check this out. Maybe it's not the fastest one available at the market anymore, but it's quite reliable and I can't really complain. Another thing is that you have to physically press the button in order to unlock your screen. I could have wished that there was an option just to tap on it and unlock it, but anyway, it is what it is. We've got our navigation buttons over here, which I turn the lighting off. I'm gonna show you how to do that in the review a little bit later on. At the back we have the 16-megapixel camera with a bunch of sensors and the flash. Inside this beautiful body we've got 3000 mAh battery, and usually in my channel that's what I'm famous for. I usually give you screenshots of my every single day of usage of this phone, guys. The reason that I'm not gonna do that today is because I used the phone as my daily driver about a year ago, and as far as I remember I had between 3 and 4 hours of screen on time. It's not very good result considering the battery size, but at least it's not too bad either. And consider one thing, I don't have band 20 on this phone, so here in the UK my phone is constantly searching for better signal, and I basically have 4G only like 30% of the time, so that's one of the reasons. The other thing is that the phone recharges quite quickly. Let me show you a couple of screenshots that I did just a couple of days ago. I've been charging it with its original Samsung quick charger. And check this out. I started from 0 over here, as you can see. Half an hour gives me 49%, 1 hour 90%, and 1 hour 18 minutes 100% of juice. Forget about dash charging, Samsung had figured this out almost 2 years ago. Yes, it gets a little bit hot, but who cares? Now, as already said, the fingerprint is quite reliable, and that screen, guys, that screen is absolutely beautiful. That's one of the best screens ever made. Even in 2015 this phone won the award for the best screen on a mobile phone ever made, and still in 2017 I would say is better than 90% of the phones, simply because, check this out. I've got the Moto Z over here. Check the difference in the screens. The only difference is when you crank the brightness up to the Moto Z to the max, and the Samsung is almost to the max, as you can see over here. They're pretty much on the same brightness, but on the Samsung you've got the option to extend the brightness even more beyond the 100%, and now it gets even brighter. So sunlight visibility is one of the best you can get on a mobile phone, and overall the qualities and everything else is pretty much on par or even better on most of the best AMOLED screens nowadays. And now what pisses me off is the OnePlus fanboys when they say, oh, 1080p screen is enough, you can't tell the difference, blah blah blah. Of course you can tell the difference, and I would rather take this screen than any OnePlus screen at the moment, simply because you go to display, if you're struggling with the game, of course you won't be, but in case you want to turn down the resolution and save a little bit of a battery, 1440p, 1080p, 720p, and now you won't tell the difference, simply because your screen is so high quality and it's so nice that it doesn't really matter what kind of resolution are you running. But if you have the OnePlus 5, you're stuck on 1080p. Now, in case you're worried about the performance, guys, I can tell you that performance wise is on par or even better of the Snapdragon 820. You don't believe me? Let's check this out. We're gonna go back to settings, display, and make sure the display is running at full resolution here. There's the Moto Z, one of the best performance of last year and still one of the best performance in 2017. All the recent applications are cleared off. And we're gonna do this test by comparing the loading times of the Mortal Kombat, one of the heaviest games to play. Let's check this out. The Exynos is a little bit outdated if you look at the specs. It has 4 Cortex-A53 clusters plus 5 more Cortex-A57 clusters. So we don't have any Cortex-72 or Cortex-73, none of this cryo bullshit. So let's see which one is gonna load up faster. Yep, the Samsung is first. The Moto Z is straight away after that. And in case now you're gonna say, hey, yeah, but the gaming performance is not gonna be good. Just watch that.
Sub-Zero. You have eyes, but will not see. I will see you die.
Check this out. Of course the video is only 30 frames per second, so you can't really see pretty much what's going on and how smooth it is, but you're gonna have to take my word with it. It's pretty good. So gaming wise, you're gonna have no problems. If you do have, you just go back to settings and you turn down the resolution to 1080p and you're good to go. Now when it comes down to software, you have 2 years support straight away from Samsung. Let's check this out. About device, let's go to software info. And as you can see, I'm running Android 7.0. The security patch is from 1st of June 2007, which is pretty new, so no worries about the performance, no worries about the support. Of course, with all of my phones, I have definitely installed Nova Launcher simply because of the customization. But in terms of bloat, you've got some Samsung, a couple of applications which you're never gonna use. You can disable them though, so I really don't see a problem with the software. Definitely one of the highlights of this phone is the S Pen. You press it like that, it comes out. You can take a quick note like that. You can save it or delete it, it's up to you. And the other useful feature of the S Pen is that you can play some games with it. For example, some of these games with the spaceships, you can use this S Pen to move the spaceship rather than your thumb, which is quite handy. As well as you can do that all day long to make yourself calm instead of using a fidget spinner or just to piss your colleagues or your schoolmates off. Now when it comes down to audio quality, I'm gonna turn the volume all the way up and check the speaker. I'm not a big fan of the position of the speaker, but it's loud enough and it gets the job done even in loud environments. Of course, it can't compare to the stereo speakers, but it's pretty much usable and I can't really complain. When it comes down to the headphone jack, it's a little bit above average, which is still pretty good now in 2007. And now the highlight of this phone is definitely the camera. The 5 megapixel shooter is definitely not the best. There are some better options at 8 megapixels, at 13 megapixels as well. So in 2017, not the best, but it's still quite usable. But now the highlight of this phone is definitely the rear facing 16 megapixel 16:9 aspect ratio camera. In many of my tests which I did compared to the S7 Edge, this camera is actually better in good lighting, especially the landscape photos. If you want to take 16:9 aspect ratio photos with the S7 Edge, you're looking at just 10 megapixels, and when you compare the 10 megapixels to the 16 megapixels, you can clearly see the difference. Nighttime is a different story though, the S7 Edge is better and the autofocus is quicker, but definitely this camera is still one of the best cameras you can use in 2017. All of my thumbnails for the videos are done with this camera, so let me just quickly show you a couple of photos that I took. Check this out, absolutely phenomenal results. Beautiful. Check this out as well. A little bit of a HDR over here and some other photos like that. So definitely if you go on holiday, that's the phone to get. Now when it comes down to videos, that's still one of the best phones to do your videos with it, guys. The stabilization is pretty much unmatched apart from the Pixel and of course the S8. But I recently had the LG G5, which I thought is gonna replace my phone, the Note 5, in filming my videos, but apparently I was wrong. The stabilization is pretty bad as well as the autofocus. So basically the only thing which is better for videos is the S7 Edge and the S8. Pretty much none of the other phones can match it. So where does that leave us with the Note 5 in 2017, guys? 300 pounds, one of the best screens, one of the best cameras, the performance is on par with the latest Snapdragon chipsets. This phone, 2 years after its initial release, is definitely a go and it gets my thumbs up. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, because next week I've got X flagship comparison coming down featuring the Moto Z, the LG G5, the Axon 7, the Note 8. You know what Note 8 what I'm talking about? No, you don't. And the Note 5 as a bonus entry. So stay tuned for that and see you next week. Adios.